Hello everyone, I hope you are well this evening. I've had a lot of technical difficulties. I have lost my cameras a couple times and I was trying to restore everything so I could get my video shot for my Technique Tuesday. And so I want to welcome you to my studio by way of my my YouTube channel, not Facebook. Sorry about that. And so I hope that this technique will be something that maybe you learn something from it. And so I'm also hoping that it goes the way that I've practiced it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, because I figured out some things that I was doing wrong. And so by me doing those exercises and practices, then I learned what I was doing wrong so that I could show you how to do it the correct way. So it is going to be faux metal. And so I know that sounds, for some of you that are new to crafting, that may sound, well, okay, that's a bit strange. But then I know there's some of you out there that have been crafting for a really long time and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so let's get started with this technique. And then I'm just going to show the technique this evening, being that it's been chaotic here. But I do have a couple of samples to show you where I used the item that I made through this technique. So let's change the camera around and let's get started with this technique. Give me one moment. There we go. All right, so the technique, like I said, is called faux metal. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And it's a lot of fun. And so I have some VersaMark here. And then I have some gold embossing powder. And I did have a piece of right here. And I don't know where I put it. Oh, I just knocked it on the floor. So we'll use this whole piece here. So, and you need a piece of cardstock. Now this is a little bit of the thicker kind. So let me turn this camera off because I'll keep looking at it because it has a light on it. I'm going to go ahead and turn these lights on so that maybe you can see what it is that I'm doing, and hopefully it'll be bright enough right here. So I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath what I'm working on, just because this gets a little messy with the embossing powder and different things. So we're using gold embossing powder, and then I'm also going to use the VersaMark ink. And then, let's see, oh, the heat tool. I'll bring that out. I'm going to go ahead and bring this cutting board. This is what I use to put aluminum foil on it sometimes to make it where it will emboss better. But I'm just going to set this on there. That way I have a glass top desk. And I really don't want to shatter it with the heat from the embossing gun. So anyway, that's why I'm going to put that there. So I've got a piece here folded for the embossing powder. And then let's see. Maybe put that here. And then I've got another piece because I end up with this embossing powder everywhere. Maybe you'll do okay with it. Then I also have my party celebration stamp set. I'm going to use this bell right here because I'm trying to do a Christmas card a week, at least one, and that way I'll have my Christmas cards well on the way to being finished by the time the holiday season gets here to be sending them out. So I'm going to do this little bell right here. And it is photopolymer, so that's what this is. I'm trying to scoot up closer to my workstation so I can be in the screen of it. So the first thing is it's gonna take a few layers, and then I'll give you a few tips and tricks about this. So I'm gonna just take my VersaMark, and I know it looks yucky, but it works. So I'm just gonna add in my VersaMark right here. Then I want to put my gold embossing powder on there. I want to tap too much off. Slide this out of the way for now because we're going to need it again. Okay. All right. So I'm going to heat this up and just, I'm not going to talk too much while I'm doing the heating because you won't hear, like, it'll sound like it's, like the volume shut off while I'm heating, but you'll see what I mean, and I'll discuss for each step of it. I'm going to let it heat up a minute and then go from the back. You see it changing. And now that it has all melted, I want to heat it from the front and then sit it down in the embossing powder. I just want to press it in there. See this layers? And before I forget, I want to take my VersaMark and put that on there. Now you can do it another way. You could put more VersaMark, more embossing powder, more VersaMark, more embossing powder. But by doing it this way, you get it pulled where you want it because you're going to need it pulled up. You want it to be kind of thick. And so that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So just bear with me. If you heat from the front, it kind of blows around. So that's why I try to go from the back. Here we go. Why this is doing that, I want that stamp to be in the VersaMark because that VersaMark will keep the stamp from sticking to the embossing that I'm doing right now. I will tell you that this sometimes takes a while to dry, so you'll want to do this ahead of time and then like a day or so ahead of time before you make your cards with this. All right, so that's really thick in the middle. You can see it's all pulled up there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to stamp right in the center of all that. I'm going to press. And I want it to sit there a while so that the embossing powder that has been melted can form to the design that's in my little Christmas bell. So let me show you. Here's one that I already did. I used silver for it. So see, you can see all the detail in it. I'm hoping that that turns out just as well as that first one. I'm going to take this powder. Now, you do have a bit of waste, but my embossing powder lasts me forever. See this little bits here? I'm hoping that I can get most of it off of there. But whenever the embossing powder is hot and you sit it into the powder that's on the paper, has a tendency to melt it a little bit. But I still have quite a bit here. You don't want it to slip and slide too much when you're on there. Okay, let's reveal and see if it did as well as I'm hoping. Real gentle. Okay, so it didn't quite take. So I'm going to heat it again. See if I can put this right down over it again. And if not, I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, so it's not looking well. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to fix it. I'm going to add more VersaMark. Bring that paper in. I'll dump some more embossing powder on here. Then I'm going to heat this up again. Because it'll melt, a lot of times you get rid of what you already put down. Dump that right back on top. So I'm just building it back up. So I probably didn't have it quite thick enough. You really don't want it too thick, but you need it thick enough that the stamp can go down into it. And I've got it inked up in VersaMark again. Oops. And then we'll set this right there and press. And you kind of need it to cool. I try to look and see if I can press any more of the bubbles out. I probably have enough over there that if I need to do it again, I can. Okay, and I'm going to let that sit for a little bit so that I can hopefully have it set up with that. I'm going to show you some of my cards. I've got a couple cards here. Get that out of the way. All right, so this first one is the first one that I made, and it is using the Peaceful Garden DSP and the Peaceful Garden Glimmer paper. And so, isn't that just beautiful? And this is the Silver Bell. I've got, I took my holly made it where it matched the colors in my cardstock. And then that's that Peaceful Garden glimmer paper. And I used a little bit of twine, and I used the color of the glimmer paper to color the twine because it started out white as baker's twine. And so there is that. So it looks a little almost like galvanized or like an older bell. So there's that one. I need to put a white piece on the inside, and then I use the word joy. So there's that one. And then I have this one, and this is that paper that is the Joyful 12 by 12 DSP, and it's got this gold foiling inside it. It's hard to see it because there we go, because the light kind of bounces, makes it all white looking. There we go. So you can see it. There we go. And then I put the gold foiling behind it. And then this here is Garden Green. I put it through an embossing folder. And it's the Jolly Holly. And then I cut out the Joy and the Cherry Cobbler. And the card's base is Cherry Cobbler. And then this is a gold bell that did like I'm doing now. And then I took another piece of the holly, and then I painted it in with, I think this is actually Old Olive or Mossy Meadow. I can't remember which. And then I used Cherry Cobbler to put the little berries on. And then this piece here is that gold open weave ribbon. And then, of course, I used some dimensionals behind the things to pop those up. And so I thought that turned out really pretty. And there's some twine, it's just hard to see it, that's holding that bell. And then I popped it up with some dimensionals. Now, I will say sometimes, because you're using VersaMark, it sometimes feels sticky for a while. And then after it dries, it just kind of feels like that roughened up metal. So I'm going to press on this again, make certain that, nothing. Let's see how it turned out. And there we go. It turned out as the bell. That's how it was supposed to do. So I didn't have it quite thick enough, apparently, to get it to make the bell. And so there's the gold one. There's a silver one. There's another silver one. So you get a different look each time. And so here's the banding for the bell, and then the little piece at the bottom. And for whatever reason, it keeps having a spot right here that it doesn't quite press down. And I've tried several different ways. It must either be something on my desk, but it's a glass countertop, or maybe it's something in my stamp. I don't know. But so that is how you do the faux metal technique. And so, and if by what you saw, if you don't have it quite thick enough, it will not make the image quite right. And so then you can fix that, just reheat it, put it in more of the embossing powder, and then heat that. And when you have it nice and pooled like this is, it's fairly thick there, then that is whenever you've got it the perfect thickness. So you just have to play around with it for a couple times before you start your project. And then once you do that, I would probably just start, doing that more and more, and reheat this and put more embossing powder, because I think that I could probably put another bell right there. I do believe it would fit. And so you just keep building up your embossing powder, and then put your stamp in it, trim that part off, and keep going. And you could get several pieces out of this one piece of cardstock. And I know that it curls, and we do not have any die cuts for this bell, so I just went along and fussy cutted what I could. I will say that right here where that star is on the edge, because it is so thick, it kind of squishes it up. But you can also, when you cut this out, you can kind of knock that off just a little bit let me see. So like right here, it did it on this star. And so I just trimmed around it, and then I just kind of knocked it off with my scissors just a little bit so it wouldn't be so raised up. But I think it turns out so cute. And you could do this with leaves. You could put it on the actual card itself and do that technique where you put the embossing or the VersaMark on there, do the embossing, and then stamp it right on the card base itself. And so, and like with a leaf to make it fall, or, you know, just different things like that. So I want to thank you for joining me for this Technique Tuesday to learn how to do this. It is called faux metal. So I hope you enjoyed that. Look how cute that turned out. So cute. So I hope that this inspires you to try this faux metal technique, and show me what kind of creations that you came up with for this technique. I will put this over on my Facebook group, Creative Coach Lisa, on a post with it, and then you could put in the comments below what you made with this faux technique. And then over on YouTube, I think you can do the same. Like you could put in the comments below, just let me know if you tried it, and if so, you know, how it worked out for you, if you enjoyed it, and let me know where you're from, because I like to see who I'm connecting with. And so I want to thank you so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun bringing this to you, even though I didn't quite get it thick enough the first time. And once you've done it a few times, you will get used to how, thick you feel like it needs to be. And then it is a very nice element to add to your card. And so I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for joining me. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.